every year. Police
I guess I'm gonna get right to it. Playing some Vice City.
The number of people
Turn it on.
has been rising despite
And
attempts to stop
stuff.
smuggling gangs. Colonel Olivier Allary from the French police said having more powers would help them.
I'll grab some water first while this part's happening. Well, after it starts loading, I will.
But we need to be careful not to put the migrants, including children, in more danger.
Ukraine's capital is holding a
Oh, why is it doing that crap? Blurring.
hours of Tuesday killed 26 people. The emergency services now say they've recovered 21 bodies from the rubble of one apartment block.
Click, click, press.
People were injured. Joel Gunter
I'm gotta
in Kiev.
There is a very intense
cross in front of the camera here.
Still ongoing. We've just been speaking
Oh,
to
excuse
the
me.
officials here. They just told us 2 more people have been found. They have not yet been able to retrieve those 2 bodies, but it takes the total for this site alone up to 23. Unfortunately for the search and rescue workers here, they don't know how many more people they might be searching for. They told us 35 apartments have been completely destroyed.
Joel Gunter with that report. World News from the BBC. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says hospitals have received the bodies of 144 people in the past 24 hours as Israel continues its attacks. They've also taken in more than 560 injured. The IDF said it was operating to dismantle Hamas military capabilities. The Austrian government has set out plans to tighten gun ownership laws following the country's worst school shooting last week when 10 people were killed.
Hold on here. What's going on? Loading the game.
It will raise the minimum age for a gun permit to 25, making the psychological test more stringent.
Here's I've knocked the camera about. It fell on its own. Gravity did its thing. Okay, so I actually saved here. I was trying to figure something out off stream and I saved the game on accident, but I didn't really do anything. But I'm going to attempt that stinking hot ring. I know how to do it now. I a video on how to cheese it by destroying. So that means I'm going to have to refill my rockets later because you need this. Right? Alright, I'm going to need more than that. So that means I'm going to have to do a lot, start this with a lot of saving and weapon gathering.
Access to the French broadcaster's content. The agreement is the first made with a major traditional company.
And then I'll have to save until I get the hot ring race to appear. Hopefully it'll not take too much, right?
Hello and welcome to News Hour from the BBC World Service. We're coming to you live from London. I'm James Menendez. And we are going to begin once again in Iran. And a clear message of defiance today from the country's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, on this the 6th
up we go.
With Israel. In a televised statement,
how much of this weaponry should I get?
For an unconditional surrender.
Of course, from the very beginning.
Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just go double it a few times. It might take
that in this heinous action carried out by the
a few minutes.
Regime, the U.S. was also involved. Given the recent statements that they have made, our suspicions were confirmed. Our nation will stand up against an imposed war.
Hello there, two viewers. What are you doing up so bright and early? Unless you're not up early and it's later in the day where you are, which is a possibility.
Well, in the past hour, there have been reports of more explosions in the Iranian capital.
Alright, so more of this. Where's my chopper?
Targets, including weapons production facilities. The UN's nuclear watchdog said they'd also hit 2 factories producing parts for centrifuges, the machines that enrich uranium. Well, the BBC isn't able to report from inside Iran. It makes it very difficult for us and other broadcasters to get a true picture of what is going on. But there are people inside the country who are sharing what they're seeing and hearing. Joe Inwood has been gauging the situation there.
Tehran's
Okay.
is usually a bustling commercial hub. Now it is closed. Videos show row upon row of shuttered shops. The Iranian government has told people to stay in the capital. I honestly don't.
I want my chopper.
Stay in Tehran as much as I do.
Where's my chopper?
More than anything, I want to stay in my home, even though I know there will be consequences, psychological damage,
Where am I?
and even physical harm from not leaving the city. Even though I hate the Islamic Republic.
Or else drive away and stuff, right?
Strikes are continuing across.
Or run away.
A minibus drives through the dusty plains of Isfahan when.
Am I far away enough?
Go, go, don't stop, go, the man shouts.
Come on, give me a car. I guess. A garbage car.
Black, grey and brown smoke rising into the air. Overnight, there were reports of more explosions in central Tehran. Go back, this man says. Once more, Israeli missiles light up the night sky.
Give me my copter. There it is. Let's go double our my chain armor, chain gun armor. 2 people are back. Hey, welcome aboard.
What is the end game?
Look, we're facing 2 existential threats from Iran, and our mission is to eliminate those threats. Number 1 is the ballistic missiles that the Iranians are shooting at us. I want to remind.
Let me check my stats real quick. I want to see the percentage.
Directly on
37% complete, and I haven't started the missions yet. Oh boy.
With more than 300 ballistic missiles, each and every one of them.
Whee! Where am I going? Which bridge am I at?
At the beginning of this war was roughly around 2,500.
That one.
Aimed to reach 8,000.
I blew right by her.
Now, for a state at the size of Israel, regardless of the nuclear program, this amount of ballistic missiles possess an existential threat to the state of Israel. Therefore, eliminating and just to finish the
All right.
eliminating
This is going to take a couple of minutes.
ballistic missiles.
It's going to be boring.
This is goal number 1, and we are.
And what's the
I need to double this up here.
It's the second nuclear program.
We are around between 50 to 70% of the arsenal was hit. So this is number 1.
And it's the second the nuclear program.
Yeah, of course.
Where did I get the damage? I don't recall crashing into anything, whatever. Must have been this stupid tree. Let's go up in the air for a few. What a view, huh? What a beautiful city.
Of 60% out of 90, which is the level that is required. They have 2 main.
Let's set it back down. Where am I?
One is Natanz that was destroyed with thousands of centrifuges, and the other one is in Bordeaux, which is the main.
Chop some people up.
There are various ways to deal with this situation.
Oh, don't want to mess with them too much. Let's
the bombs to penetrate this level of depth requires airplanes and bombs that we do not possess. But there are also other options, as we saw in Masayef in Syria, in the raid that was launched a few months ago against a factory for accuracy of missiles that was
where is it?
related to Hezbollah in Syria.
Right. So what if President Trump
I'm gonna blow
decides
this
not to
bad
get
boy up.
involved and doesn't give you those huge bombs that we're told are the only ones
What are you
capable of
doing, stupid
destroying
ambulance?
the
You
underground
stuck?
site at Bordeaux? Does that mean Israel cannot achieve one of its strategic
Where'd it
goals?
go?
No, I just mentioned that the air is one method, and there are also other methods, and we have the best people working on it, and we are very.
I scared them. Oh, it looks like I screwed the game up, huh? Was that the... I glitched it out. Whoops, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, the game's frozen. 10 minutes in, 10.5 minutes. Alright, gotta reset this. Oh boy, I gotta do this all over again.
I'm not saying that we need or we don't need.
Exciting.
America needs to do what's in their best interest. We are not calling America to interfere. It's up to the Americans to decide. As far as I recall, this regime from the very beginning, with kidnapping the team of the embassy.
Maybe I can just keep getting...
in Lebanon.
Whatever. What time is it?
A conference that they held from
9:13, so this might be a couple of hours or less than 3, that's for sure. I have to leave at noon.
We will obviously be happy to have the support, but we are not asking.
Gotta go to Wally World.
For the US,
getting a ride to Wally World.
Can I just, on that, can I just ask you?
Gonna get
finally,
some...
if Iran finds it
Get some what? I don't know.
Over the last few days, for whatever reason,
Carnation breakfast essentials. Maybe some donuts.
Iran may respond to Israel in non-conventional.
Who knows? Who knows?
That may be just as harmful to you.
Well, absolutely. We are all we recall what happened at the AMIA building of the Jewish community in Buenos Aires. We recall what happened in the embassy. They can aim of to target Israeli officials, Jewish community.
I had to start over. I don't know who's here and what they saw, but the game froze.
You can see now that the level of
after I sliced an ambulance with a chainsaw that was on its side. The game froze.
Last night,
whatever, right?
Ballistic missiles before 20 ballistic missiles, and unlike the first one that were 100 ballistic missiles. So we definitely see a decline.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, we need to be very alert worldwide to see.
Minister, thank you very much. We're out of time. Amichai Tikli, Minister for Diaspora Affairs, joining us live there. Well, let's speak to Eli Geran-Meir, who is head of the Middle East and North Africa program at the European Council on Foreign Relations, where she focuses on...
La 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 la. Let's go. Come on, hurry up.
Welcome to
so obnoxious. So obnoxious.
To Iran's military and nuclear facilities that's been inflicted by Israel.
All right, up we go.
So we have basically the information we have is from what the Israelis are saying and what the Iranians are being allowed.
Gotta swap it out here.
The International Atomic Energy.
Oh, I already, whatever. It wasn't that big of a loss.
Nuclear enrichment
Maybe I can get enough by saving over and over. I think I can just do that, right?
It has been destroyed. We know that in the last 24 hours there were more attacks against.
Yeah, rolling down to where I need to go.
Near Tehran and near Karaj, another province.
I'm gonna blow the cars up in the hot ring and win that one soon, hopefully. I think I have it. I saw a video on how to do it. And now I'm going to try it myself.
We heard just now from the Israeli minister who, again, said why they were going after Iran's nuclear program, because they believed Iran was about to be capable of developing...
Since I got to move the clock around and stuff. All right, how much is that?
Wasn't. Was it reaching that breakout?
How many do I need? How much do I need? Whatever.
But look, Iran had increased its stockpile of
2.6
uranium, which was allowing it to have a stockpile enough for greater numbers of bombs if and this is a critical
Save of the
part,
game,
the
yep.
political decision was made to do so. Now, successive U.S. intelligence has made the conclusion that Iran's decision makers had not made that move. The International Atomic Energy Agency said very recently in the last few days that they did not see evidence of weaponization. And it's important to remember that Benjamin Netanyahu has been claiming Iran is just years or days or weeks away from a bomb since the 1990s. So he and the
All right,
Israeli
up we go,
establishment
right?
rules in Israel does not have a great track record of
Is that what I'm
providing
doing? I'm
evidence
kind of
on
whatever
this.
right now.
Is there a diplomatic way out of this, or is it that
Whoops.
point?
Cut it out.
Do you think?
Cootie
I'm of the view
dude.
that there's always a diplomatic off-ramp, especially now. It's a high-stakes moment. President Trump is the only person that can rein in Israeli action and impose a ceasefire, which then
Nice one,
response, Iran
almost.
must halt its attacks
Nope, over
inside
here.
Israel. It's clear if we carry on with this path and if the U.S. engages in military strikes directly in Iran,
Save her again. How much weaponry? That's a decent amount.
Iranians are certainly going to lose because they cannot win this fight militarily, but also the United States and President Trump personally will, I think, tarnish his legacy with another open-ended war in the Middle East.
Thank you very much indeed. That was Eli Garameh, head of the Middle East program at the European Council on Foreign Relations, exploring a little more on what President Trump might do in the coming hours and days. A little later in the program, about 15 minutes. There's also a live page with all the latest updates up and running on our website, bbc.com/news. You're listening to News Hour.
Whoa. Yo. Oh.
If you haven't yet joined our main public book club,
Where
there's
am
still
I?
time to read our next selection. Cleavage, Men, Women, and the Space Between Us, by bestseller author Jennifer Finney Boylan. In Cleavage, Boylan examines the divisions as well as the common ground between the genders, and reflects on her own experiences as a transgender American. Our virtual book club meeting for Cleavage will be held on Monday evening, June 30th. Note this is a change from the original date. For details, please visit mainpublic.org and click on Community. Looking for something to do this weekend? You may be surprised at just how much is going on here in Maine. Fairs and festivals, markets and music, art and adventure. Maine Public's community calendar can help you connect with it all. Search by type of
What do we
event,
got?
date, or location. And if you represent an organization,
35. I hope that's maybe it'll be enough.
Enter the details using our online
We'll get more though.
Your weekend with Maine Public's community calendar. You can find it in the
Straight to the ground there, straight to the bottom. That's the magic spot right there.
James Menendez with News Hour live from the BBC. Now that it's high summer in Northern Europe, the police in France are trying to stop smuggling gangs taking advantage of the calm weather to transport large numbers of people from there to the south coast of England, about 30 kilometres away.
Kilometres.
So far this year, more than 16,000 migrants have made the crossing, a 45% increase on the same period last year. Although the French authorities claim they
whatever, I don't know.
Before they reach the sea, the smugglers are now changing tactics to launch so-called taxi boats from new sites and
my stinking helicopter. Where are you?
Andrew Harding now reports.
35, 4,000. It's 5. Whatever.
It's a clear, warm night, and the sea is
A little more, I think. I got to save again anyway, probably.
We are south of.
Oh.
It's about 2 in the morning. We're with a group of French gendarmes. They've got a drone out and they are scanning the forests and the beaches for migrants and for smugglers. They've spotted a group of 30 migrants to the south and another 100 or more a little further north. In charge of this sector is Colonel Olivier Allary.
We are trying to intercept as
Where
many
is
of
it?
the smugglers' boats as possible. We're managing to catch up to 70% of them. It's very satisfactory. But sometimes they're smarter.
No chopper. Where are you?
Speaking of surprises, the police have
Gotta save it again anyhow.
There's been a successful boat launch further up the coast. We're rushing off to see
Ooh.
what happened.
What time on the clock here?
We've
6
arrived at the scene.
ish.
An abandoned black
Noonish
Volvo
after
actually
this
in
here.
sand. It's obviously been driven at high speed straight onto the beach. A new tactic. So the smugglers are adapting again. Effectivement, what's happened is the smugglers have inflated their boat near the beach, probably in a barn where the drones couldn't spot it. Then they strapped it to the car roof and drove fast towards the sea, untied it, and launched it within a matter of seconds. So the key is speed. It's getting the boat
5,000. That's enough. Now I just gotta wait or save a few more time or a little more
taxi boat is a relatively new innovation. And the smugglers
to get the stadium open.
In secrecy or far away from the main beaches, and only then cruise along the coast, picking up people already queuing in the water.
Uta.
So we're now driving up the coast, trying to chase basically the taxi boat. The police are ahead of us here, and I've just caught a glimpse of
Hiccups, excuse me.
Well, this is quite a scene. We've come running across the beach near a little town called Wissant. The sun is nearly rising.
What
In the water here, I can see maybe 50, 60 people up to their waists.
Alright, I got a minute and a half here.
Inflatable boats.
No dang old chopper.
I'm going to wade out towards them.
Car, anyone got a car? I'll take yours.
Are you going to get on? Yeah. You go to England? Yeah. So the group of migrants here waiting to see if they can also get on board the boat here, and kids on parents' shoulders, and behind on the coast, on the shore.
Whoops, why'd I go this way? Whatever.
Standing there watching.
That's a way to go, right?
Say the rules that they have prevent them from going into the water.
Whatever, let's go up here.
They're going to rescue somebody.
Now we wait.
That was Andrew Harding reporting there from northern France.
Cause some trouble. Get some cash, yeah.
The most famous tournament in world tennis.
About you?
Wimbledon gets underway. The legendary Martina Navratilova won a record 9 Wimbledon singles titles. She's been speaking to
Blam, blam.
about her career, the state of tennis, and the country she's called her home for the past.
They disappear if you look back.
That I couldn't do it under the circumstances and around.
Alright, what race is it? Oh, I'm paying attention. It's up there. It says what it is. I've already done that.
It's all good.
So I gotta go do a bunch of saving. Oh boy.
At all. The cure
Let's drive this car that opened up after I beat Blood Ring Banger.
People can have lifelong issues. No salivary glands. The voice box can be affected. Swallowing. You know. So I mean,
whatever.
Better, but that's about it.
What's the biggest challenge facing women in tennis today?
It's still trying to get the corporate money because
whoops, wrong way.
Lacking and lagging behind the guys in financials. And also, men's sports has been around for 150 years. Women's sports is very young, and
time to save and save some more till it's 20 again, or thereabouts, or near 20.
So just looking at social media on Twitter and
elsewhere, they'll get more ammo.
It's not for failed male athletes, whatever age. This is not right, and it's not fair. As you cast it, it's about being fair to women who are participating.
Absolutely, and there's a
what are they talking about?
You have to go through before you get to elite sport. So it starts really in high school, and then you come out to go into your local meet, and there's a boy that now has a ponytail and nail polish and identifies as a girl. That's all fine and well, but the ponytail and nail polish does not a female make. And now these girls are like, I can't compete against that. I have no chance.
What do you think about where tennis has got to? Because the WTA permits transgender women to participate if A, they can write a written and signed declaration that they are female or non-binary, B, their testosterone levels are below a certain limit for 2 years, and C, they sustain those levels. What do you think about that position that the WTA
I think it's wrong. I think it's still wrong because number one, you don't lose the 5 inches in height. Average male is 5 inches taller than a female. Then you add arm length, you got like 7 inches. You got this much height just here. So I have to jump this much higher for an overhead as the
more
guy,
saving, or I just, yeah, more weapons,
to be on the same
right?
level.
The other subject on which you've been very outspoken of late is your adopted homeland of modern America. And I know that on your pinned tweet on the platform X, you say that you grew up in a totalitarian, authoritarian country, which we've spoken about, Czechoslovakia, under the Soviet Union. And basically, you say you refuse to be someone who lives in another one. Do you really fear America, your home, is turning into a totalitarian, authoritarian country?
Don't you see that? I mean,
Let's
well,
see.
yeah. When they are checking your all your social posts to decide whether you can stay in the country, even though you already have legal visa.
Save successful.
How would you like to be remembered in years to come?
I'd like to be remembered.
Martina Navratilova, thank you so much for your time.
When we all like to be remembered. That was the tennis legend Martina.
We're right by
Navratilova
everything.
talking there to my colleague Amal Rajan with the Wimbledon tournament.
So I have 4 minutes till it opens, 3.5.
Iran in the second half of the program, and as I mentioned,
Let's see if it's even the right one. Let's go check it out.
Reported explosions in Tehran. The Israeli military saying that its air force is now attacking.
Can I see it from here?
In the Tehran area. The Iranian authorities say that several projectiles have targeted the northern and eastern suburbs of the city. bbc.com/news. You're listening to NewsHour. Please stay with us.
Yeah, it's going to be the hot ring, just what I wanted. Nice and smooth the way that chopper can go fly right into here from there, isn't it? How convenient.
Distribution of BBC NewsHour in the U.S. is supported
Straight
by
to the
Market
entrance.
Watch. Housing prices to inflation and market volatility, the market is uncertain. MarketWatch has news and tools for those looking to reach their financial potential on the road ahead. MarketWatch, don't short yourself. And BetterHelp, committed to
This
making
thing
mental
dying,
well-being
or
a
is it
priority
empty?
and offering support in taking on everything life demands. With therapists available to communicate via video, chat, or phone
Therapist.
at betterhelp.com/public.
Therapist.
BBC World Service on Maine Public Radio is made possible by listeners like you.
Oh, is
with
it?
help from Eat Down East, offering a map helping over 140 small food producers in Washington County find an audience.
Gotta wait
More
a few
at
minutes.
eatdowneast.com. Maine Solar Solutions, solar for Mainers from
Oh,
Mainers.
2 minutes. I guess I will.
And the Criterion Theater in Bar Harbor.
I don't want to cause too much trouble. I don't want my. Oh, I guess I don't care about my helicopter that much.
Coming up on NewsHour in the next 30 minutes, will President Trump decide to send in American bombers to help Israel destroy Iran's nuclear program? We'll talk to a senior official from Mr. Trump's first administration. Also, the Iranian Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Mohammadi on fleeing Tehran and what the war means for Iran's future. And
Where's the people with big money?
Bots are trying to steal revenue from the
Wham.
streamers. All that's coming up after the news.
Ah, that was cruel, huh?
BBC News.
That didn't look very nice.
Iran's supreme leader says his country will never surrender, warning of irreparable damage if the US intervenes in the conflict with Israel. The Trump administration is reportedly considering whether to support Israel's offensive. Meanwhile, the UN nuclear watchdog says Israeli military strikes have hit 2 facilities in Iran. The IDF says more than 50 planes struck 20 targets near the capital overnight. Reports from Gaza say at least 30 Palestinians have been killed
Right over his head.
strikes and gunfire. Israel repeated it was trying to dismantle Hamas.
3 shots, that's bad.
France is soon allowing its security forces to intervene forcefully against boats which smuggle tens of thousands of migrants to Britain every year. Officers may be able to enter the water for the first time.
The cops aren't up here, huh?
Introducing stricter gun ownership laws after 10 people were killed last week in the country's worst school shooting. The minimum age for a gun permit will rise to 25. The father of a man shot in the head by Kenyan officers during protests over police brutality has told local media his son is alive but in a critical condition. Greenpeace has found piles of discarded clothing from European countries in conservation areas in Ghana. It says garments made of synthetic fibres from H&M and Zara are littering critical wetland habitats.
Now they're coming. I went the wrong. All right.
Rival tech firm Meta of trying to poach his staff with multi-million-dollar payments.
Let's try this. And if I fail, I can just reload, right?
$100 million in signing bonuses. A video showing a university in Nigeria checking female students for bras before exams has caused outrage, while a BC Onabanjo University in Ogun State said it was part of a strict no bra, no exam rule to encourage modesty and prevent distractions. BBC News.
You're listening to News.
Alright, hopefully this works. Hopefully I have the card, the place they come out of, they respawn out of blocked off. That's 2. You gotta count 15. Oop. 3. 4, 5, 6, 7.
70% of streams of AI-generated music, in other words, a request to listen to a particular track, are fraudulent, made by bots to try to generate revenue.
8, 9. Is he gonna blow up? Where's the rest of yous? Is that all of them? I don't think so. Maybe it is.
The track that are 100% generated by AI. So we developed an
Can I go now? Nope, there's still some left.
And we decided to look at it and to try to understand how they were used. And,
9. I forgot what the count was. Oops.
Where we tried to look at artificial streaming. So streams not done by real users.
Oh, did I how many more? There's 1. Oh, did I kill him?
So we have both algorithms, and when we looked at the content that were generated by AI, we found that 70% of the streams done on this
I gotta
content
turn
was
this
detected
down.
by our algorithms, and so therefore was removed because we removed fraudulent streams. But yes, we found out that most of the streams.
I don't know. I think there's more.
Was for fraud.
I lost count, like I said.
Music using AI, and then what? They are employing
maybe it's safe.
that music over and over again, and then what? That generates.
All right, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, that could generate royalties if we don't detect them. And so yeah, that's the idea.
Whatever,
is
let's
to
try.
take part of the royalties that we distribute to artists.
How much of the music on Deezer is wholly generated by AI? Do you know?
We looked at the recent deliveries. We found out with our detection.
Let's see what happens. 13, 12.
18% of the tracks delivered daily on our platform was 100%
12.
generated by AI. It's around.
Come on, go down with some more.
We receive that are
11.
only generated by AI.
Yeah. And so
11, 10.
The way you say with these algorithms to detect it, can you then just delete that content straight away? Is that how it works?
It's something
9. I don't know.
What's happening to understand why they are delivering this, and to make sure that there is no dilution for artists.
7.
So what we do is when we detect them, we remove them from our
5, 4. Come on, 3, 2, 1.
To understand the usage.
Right, so you're not paying any royalties for all those fake streams, in other words.
No.
3, 2, 1. Come on, 2. Oh yeah.
From royalties and everything.
That was Thibaut Rocco, who's Director of Royalties and Reporting at the French streaming service.
Whoop, don't want to screw it up. Come on, 1. Where are you? Where's the first place?
You're listening to News Hour live from the BBC in London.
Why?
Well, let's return to the war between
Oh, this is obnoxious. How I haven't seen any other cars. There it is. I'm gonna be the winner. Yay, I'm so awesome.
Served as NATO's supreme allied commander in Europe. He believes the signs are pointing towards greater American involvement.
I think the presence of the B-2s in Diego.
How many stupid laps are there?
Convergence of aircraft and naval vessels outside Iran, the presence of the air bridge refueling tankers came over. All of this indicates.
Lap 7, 7 laps, something.
I think there is an increasing willingness on the part of the president to consider intervention.
Let's talk to David Schenker, who served as Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs from 2019 to 2021 during President Trump's first term. He's in London right now with me in the NewsHour studio. Welcome to the program.
We
You seem able to read Donald Trump's mind.
turn to the left, turn to the left.
Intervening in this war.
I do, James. I think he's come to the conclusion that the Iranians aren't going to be able to be convinced to make a deal that is acceptable to the United States.
I'm almost done, right? 9. Is there 10 or 12?
Israel has done the work in terms of suppressing the
I don't remember.
chances of American casualties will be minimized. I think he's made the decision to move forward.
And yet, just a few weeks ago, diplomacy seemed to be the order of the day. He was saying there was a deal to be done. What changed?
Well, it's been now
I guess it's 12, right? Is it?
any progress. The president and the negotiating team
Probably not 11. That's a weird number, right?
move off the enrichment point. There's no compromise there. It had to be an end to the nuclear enrichment program.
That's it. I beat that
That's why
stinking mission. Yay.
On their own strike. And based on what these
That's all of those stupid stadium events.
somehow the president to get involved.
Stadium events.
It's a tough call. That's why he makes the big bucks. He's the president of the United States. Yes.
Bandai stadium events. All right, now what? Now I want to get my rockets built back up. Yep. Get out of here.
Iran's capabilities have been degraded, but this war, Israel's
I need to find a speedboat, actually. I think. To do the a couple of unique jumps.
There's no guarantee that if
Let's go see if I can find one.
Strike on that underground nuclear facility might be successful. I mean, it's a high risk option that's been weighed in the past and disregarded.
Oh, let's not. Let's go do the rockets first here.
23,000-pound bunker buster, and it may not do the job, but I think it's the best alternative if you're actually going to do this.
I mean, the other point is, of course, that you can't undo years of scientific.
All right, I'm done with the chain gun or mini gun or whatever the hell it's called.
Israelis say they got to recently, but you can't undo that, can you? Well,
Hey, dude, I'm gonna have to double them up soon.
All the nuclear scientists, the leading nuclear scientists, a few years back, they stole.
Oh, I have full armor. Durr.
Israel bombed that, but you can't.
I'm for a little savey save.
What are the dangers
before I fly to the other island? What's my stat here? 37 still. All right, whatever.
First of all, whether there's a possibility of radiation leakage. I'm not a scientist. I don't know about that. This could precipitate an end of the regime. And many people in the United States and around the world would find that to be a positive development. This has been a revolutionary.
37 minutes. All right, I did something.
But we don't know what comes next. And of course, that's always the option.
Now what?
Remain intact. Is there enough residual IRGC?
We'll start with 16 and work up my way up to infinite.
And why do you think? I mean, do you think specifically a strike on Fordo?
I need a boat. I want one.
Regime change.
Where are the fast? Whoa, what are you doing? Can I crash into them?
The primary goal is the nuclear program to end the program.
Oh, they didn't like that, huh?
You see what they're targeting, right? IRGC.
You're gonna come get me?
Assets that belong to the regime's sort of apparatus of repression. They're not really.
I'll have to waste a rocket here, probably. Oh, where'd they go?
I think the Israelis would be very happy if there was regime change there, as would many people in the region.
I'll use my
if that's what we're
sniper rifle.
It sounds a lot like, for example, at the run-up war in 2003.
Wham! Right on a rooftop.
Mr. Trump's core voters.
Little mayhem happening here in Vice City.
America not getting involved in foreign wars, and yet we seem to have come full circle very quickly.
Yeah, it's a remarkable development, James. You'll remember just a month ago, the president was in Riyadh and gave a full talk about neocons in the United States, that we're not going to get involved in these countries' internal affairs. And yet, I think that is not a U.S. goal. I think the goal is.
Where am I going? I don't know.
Talking point, the president
Gonna go check for some boats down there. I don't think there are any.
If the United States does this one thing, essentially they can be
Not
done,
any
and I think
fast
at that point,
ones.
They would encourage the Israelis probably to back off.
I mean, briefly, I mean, do you think, in that sense, Israel has forced America's hand?
No, I think Trump is going in willingly. Less risk for U.S. casualties, more chance of accomplishing the main goal in ending the enrichment program. But
Down at
we'll
this
see what the
dock
visitor
place
verdict's
or
going forward.
whatever.
There isn't right now.
David, thank you very much indeed for coming in. David Schenker, he served as Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs during President Trump's first term. Now the
On the
Washington
map, alright. I'm
Near East
pretty
Conference.
far from it, but whatever.
We've heard over the last few days of large
We're
numbers of
getting
people
there.
trying to
It's in a
leave
chopper.
Iran,
I'm in a
terrified
chopper,
about the
right?
onslaught from above. Among those fleeing is the Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Mohammadi, the indomitable activist who, according to her charitable foundation, has
Fast
been arrested
boats, where are
13
ya?
times, tried 5 times, sentenced to more than 30 years in prison and more than 150 lashes. She was let out of jail on medical grounds in December, and she is, as you'll hear, still very unwell.
What's going on? Oh, they're after me.
Franks asked her first of all what it was like right now with Israel bombing Tehran.
No boats? Come on, man. What kind of boat place are you?
I have left Tehran after the Israeli attacks. I was forced to leave the town. A 2-hour journey took us.
Let's see if I can get this into the parking garage.
Tell me what it was like.
Or the pay and spray in the
horrendous attacks. They are hitting
the pay and spray at the car dealership.
Terrifying noise of drones buzzing overhead. It was one of the
Where
worst
is it?
experiences and terrifying experiences we had.
And Narges, can I ask you
Can't remember.
how you are? Because you were only let out of
It's
prison
not that
in
one.
December last year.
It's over
and
here in this.
you've been very unwell.
Oh, get away from me!
So I had 2 malignant cancer tumors. One was
Tap
on my
me.
breast
What's
and
that
one
gonna
was
do?
on my leg. We
A
managed to
love
operate
tap.
the tumor on the leg, but when
Copter
we were
to
about
copter
operate on
love
my
taps.
breast, all these events happened. And
Where is
so
it?
we don't know when we can
Over
have an
there.
operation next.
I'm very sorry to hear that. You've also, though,
I don't know if I've ever done this
despite all
before.
the stresses and demands on you, you found time to write this short piece that has been published in the French newspaper Le Monde, calling for both an end to the Israeli military action, but also an end to uranium enrichment by the Iranian government. Tell me why you made that call.
Oh.
I spent
Stop.
10 years of my
It's
life
not on
in
fire
Gaza
anymore.
for
I probably
simply
can't use this
defending
yet,
the
huh?
right
Because I don't
to
own it.
peace. So now that we are amidst a full-fledged war between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran, I feel that we are in
So
another
I can't use that.
between the Islamic Republic of Iran
Can
and the
I?
people of Iran. So as an
Can I
Iranian
use
who has always
that?
supported human rights and who has always supported peace,
Whatever.
I feel like I am at a very
I
huge
can't buy it yet.
crossroads between war and peace.
Any vehicles
I
up
deeply believe
here,
that
up in
democracy,
here?
human
No.
rights, and freedom cannot come through violence and war.
You called it a dire threat to the very foundation.
Alright, come on, give me a vehicle.
Why are you putting it in such strong language?
There was some armor. I'll take armor as well.
Middle East is right now
Come on.
fire and blood. Where in the Middle East can you see any signs of a hope?
Holy crap.
It's politicians like Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel.
Come on, a bad aim apparently.
These events, this violence.
Oh, I didn't want that to blow up.
Promising that they can show people a better
Got myself into trouble now.
and terror, and that's not possible. So imagine this.
Blew my helicopter up.
Zionist theocracy in Iran with the
Get up,
Ali Khamenei
Tommy.
on the top, who
Whoa, run.
took us to hell whilst promising heavens, and at the same time Netanyahu is also taking us to hell while promising us freedom and democracy.
You called specifically.
Oh, they're right there. Come on.
Stop uranium enrichment. Now,
Wow, 1 unit of health.
obviously, you know much better than me, but a lot of Iranians, I imagine, would say it's up
Let's
to
just
us.
get out of here, right?
Of uranium enrichment, the government says this is just for the purposes of
So
power,
close.
of providing another energy source. Why should we stop uranium enrichment because Israel
Go
says
this
we should?
way, I guess.
The United
Find a
States
car that I can put in a paint spray.
You have to consider that our circumstances are that we are governed by a theocratic dictatorship that does
Come on.
not respect the will of the people. And I've always said that this government is a lying, deceptive government. I have said many times that this government is inept.
I don't know what I'm
and
doing
is
exactly. I'm trying to get to a
Therefore,
paint spray,
despite
right?
what the regime says, the people of Iran have not benefited from
It'd be nice to find a
enrichment
vehicle
whatsoever.
other than a
They
police
have not been able
vehicle.
to provide us with a new source of energy. They said that they need enrichment to carry out research in the field of medicine and health.
There we
This never
go.
happened.
Yahoo!
Therefore,
It's
the
a
Iranian nuclear
Mario
program
or
has had
something.
no benefits for the Iranian
All right.
and on the contrary, it's become a source of a lot of international hostility.
Whatever.
Therefore,
Let's
I must
go.
say that the Iranian nuclear program carried out by the regime is not a project of the people, it's a project of the government, which has practically taken people hostage.
The
All
Iranian
right,
revolution
on my
about
way.
Mohammadi, also Nobel laureate, talking there to NewsHour's Tim Franks. Just on the issue of
Oh, yeah.
genocide in Iran that we were speaking about a few minutes ago, our colleagues at BBC Verify have done a short video on our website, just looking at the site, what is there, and where it is, and also how well protected.
Give me your
it
cab
is.
now.
bbc.com/.
No, no, no,
Thanks
no,
for
no.
listening on NewsHour.
Almost there.
Distribution of the BBC
Yeehaw.
News Hour in the U.S. is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio.
Oh.
APM, American Public Media, with support from Progressive Insurance.
I'm out of here. You're out of here, coppers.
Whether a plumber, accounting
Coppers.
business, or restaurant, Progressive can help with over 30 customizable coverages. Online quotes available in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Your support makes BBC World Service possible with help from Maine, advocating on the issues that matter to Mainers over 50.
Now I gotta go get the stinking chopper again.
In Maine weather today, widely scattered showers with some afternoon clearing in the south and highs in the upper 70s. Tonight, partly to
Northward.
mostly cloudy with patchy fog late, lows in the mid-60s throughout the state. This is Maine Public.
On Point is continuing our week-long deep dive into the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We'll look at proposed changes to food assistance that millions of Americans rely on.
What are you going to do when you go in the grocery store and there's not that food that you're used to getting? And if you're trying to eat healthy,
Or more.
with produce that, lean meats.
That's
all those things
armor.
that are-
No, I need health. I'll just wait. All right.
Coming up at
No
10.
more messing around. Oh, I'll take that. Oh, it's not a motor, it's a dirt bike. Whatever, I'll still take it.
For the Shah, the hostage crisis, and the Reagan-era Iran-Contra scandal.
What began as a strategic opening to Iran deteriorated in its
How do you...
into trading arms.
Can't do it anymore, whatever.
On here and now.
Today from noon to 2.
Time to save.
This is James Menendez with NewsHour Live from the BBC. Now, they say never work with children or animals. Well, try telling that to the English city of Bradford, whose commission of a new work involving more than 2,000 children gets its first performance today. It is a collaboration between the Royal Ballet and Opera.
Ballet.
And Opera North.
Thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up there.
His name is called Sing.
I don't deserve it. You know that, right?
Children's hopes and dreams and Bradford's rich.
You can always take it away if you want.
Culture editor Katie Razzle has been to watch
What
rehearsals.
the hell is this?
I started dance classes at about 10
Something
years
on this
old.
controller? How does that happen? Whatever, let's go.
Quite a lot of stigma still attached to it. it just felt right. It felt like home. Being on stage.
There better be a chopper.
Bradford
Yay.
Tom Whitehead is a principal character artist at the Royal Ballet. Now he's back in Bradford as part of an ambitious project to showcase this year's City of Culture.
What I think
I believe I've done everything I can on this island.
is its differences, that rich kind of cultural heritage.
So it might be a bit before I come back here.
Tom Whitehead leap across the stage. He's there with
Unless
around
I have to
80
come
local
back and get
children as they
grenades or
perform their
something.
section of Sing, Dance, Leap.
Because
The
if
show
I die,
inspired
alright, let's
children's
go.
hopes and dreams for Bradford. In
Let's
all,
check
250
the
children will perform on
boat
this stage
situation
tomorrow.
again. I'm
More
not
than
going to bump
2,000 will
into
join
any
in
more
the
police
auditorium.
copters
They are just a
or
little
blow
bit
them up
excited.
for now.
It's amazing cause
In the
this is
future,
a
I'm sure plenty will
experience.
be
Not many people
blown
get
up.
a chance to come to Bradford live and perform. I found dancing really good.
I want a
really
boat
confident.
that
I
is
did that motion
fast.
to
Come
perform in
on.
front of everyone.
I just love having the opportunity to share my passion with young people, especially for young people that know nothing about opera or about classical music.
Opera North's Marie-Claire Breen has been warming up voices today after months of working with the children.
We found very early in our workshops that opera didn't have much meaning to our young people, so we started to have
No
discussions on what opera was,
boats.
for them to have
Let's
ownership
check
over this
over.
piece of music in their city has just been so fulfilling.
Give me a boat.
A report from Bradford by the BBC's Katie Russell. Return to Iran now, because in his
I
campaign to
can't get at
prevent
that
the
boat.
country from
No, it's
developing
not even a
nuclear
boat,
weapons,
it's a
Israel's been
rock.
targeting the physical infrastructure of its nuclear program and the node. In other words, Iran's senior nuclear scientist. The most prominent kill during Israel's first wave of airstrikes was Feridun Abbasi, a former head of Iran's atomic energy organization. Western journalists usually kept well away from figures like Abbasi. He was
Boat
the
jump.
target of an assassination attempt once
It's
before.
a boat
But someone who
jump,
did meet him is
see?
Nathan Hodge, a former Moscow bureau chief for CNN and the Wall Street Journal, who's now at Radio Free Europe. He's been telling me how the encounter came about.
I met him in 2007.
Oh, it's not a boat, or is it?
Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad,
That's not a boat
opened
jump.
the doors of one of Iran's nuclear facilities in Isfahan to sort of prove
I was wrong.
of Iran's peaceful nuclear intention.
I have to wait until they're.
Isfahan uranium conversion facility.
This is open.
Uranium hexafluoride, one of the facilities.
What was I thinking?
By Israel. And
Boat jump. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Let's see if I think I figured something out or found it out by reading it or something.
At Shahid Beheshti University in North Tehran.
That cone challenge is actually on a different parking garage. I was wrong. I was in the wrong parking garage. Let's see if I can trigger that event.
Sort of a side project, which was running what he called the Nuclear Club or the Nuclear Association, which he said was meant to promote interest in Iran among students in the nuclear field.
There should be
finding ways to promote nuclear know-how in Iran. And the reason he said for that was that
it's not here.
Sanctions. It was very difficult for Iran to.
There should be a stallion up here, but I guess my
purposes as well as for Iranian
chopper is scaring it away.
So this was clearly
Let's try.
Meant to be something that was again presented as part of Iran's peaceful nuclear
Abandoning.
program. But after the interview, he was designated by the UN Security Council for involvement in proliferation-related activities or activities that were of concern to the international community.
When you were talking to him, did you get any inkling as to his importance as a figure in Iran's nuclear program?
Yeah, who cares? Let's smash it up on the way, huh?
Apparent and sort of in his presentation, he was very much the soft-spoken academic.
There should be a vehicle. What the hell?
The interview,
Am I in the wrong area? Am I wrong?
To what he was saying, he launched into a fairly long digression about Iran's historic grievances. Its
I didn't go far enough away.
Inspired against by the West, going back to the 1953 coup against Mohammad Mossadegh, to the start of the Iran-Iraq War. And he also
I don't
detailed
like the
a
noise
little bit
it's
or alluded
making.
to his experience in the Iran-Iraq
Let's
War.
drive far away,
The
huh?
Iraqi chemical attack, so he had first-hand knowledge of weapons of mass destruction in some way. But he also said at the end of the interview, kind of talking about the dual-use nature of nuclear technology. In other words, you master the technology of enrichment, you can use it for nuclear
Take
fuel,
that.
or you can build a weapon with it. Now, he didn't say weaponry specifically, but he said you can take a knife and you can cut an orange with it, or you can kill someone with it.
And what about Isfahan, the facility there? Was it clear that there was some big investment on the part of the Iranian government in this nuclear program? I mean, can you tell that by what you were allowed to see?
Well, it was a point of national pride, but it's also worth pointing out that this facility was a dog and pony show, a gaggle of international press. So, we got to wander around the facility, see a little bit of yellow cake, get to see where the uranium hexafluoride is produced. But what we weren't shown...
Baloney, they're liars. Where's the stallion? Is this the wrong place?
Where the uranium hexafluoride is fed into centrifuges of evaporating enriched. So we were just seeing kind of one sliver of the Iran nuclear program.
When you heard that Faridun Abbasi had
Just
been
jumping around, I guess.
price, I mean,
Oh, really? I thought I did that one.
Before, hadn't they?
I think the attribution of this assassination
I'm gonna have to do some checking.
is still unclear. But yes, he did survive an assassination attempt in 2010, and several
I'm
other
glad I did that.
scientists.
I hate having to figure stuff out from
targeted in individual assassinations in subsequent years as well. So
let's see.
He was on someone's radar, I would say, as a person of concern. He survived after I believe a
38%. All right.
Car by a motorcyclist, a tactic that was used in other assassinations.
Unique jumps. Where are they? They're way down here. Where?
Thanks so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then.
Longest.
BBC World Service is made possible by Maine Public Radio listeners.
Oh, where are they? They're up here, right?
Front lodging on Vinyl Haven
Unique jumps.
TidewaterVH.com and Evergreen Home Performance, helping Maine homeowners with energy audits, insulation, and financing with Efficiency Maine's Green Bank. More at evergreenyourhome.com.
Unique jumps.
You're listening to Maine Public, and this is listener-supported Maine Public Radio. WMEA Portland 90.1, WMEH Bangor 90.9, WMEH.
Where the hell are they?
1.3,
Am I blind? Do I need glasses? What's going on? Unique jumps, right? Tires. It's in this blog. There it is. 29 out of 36. So that's 7 I need to do. Let me check the map on my computer, which means turning it, getting it out of standby mode or whatever. Come on.
For millions of Americans. The safety net has become a spider's web, and too many of our most vulnerable Americans are trapped. I refuse to believe that they are all destined to live lives of government dependency.
House hardliners want to impose strict work requirements and pass on administrative costs to the
So I have 7 left according to this, right?
Already the most vulnerable.
This not only will dramatically increase hunger, give us the highest levels of hunger, I believe, since the Great Depression, but will really harm the economy and will devastate many red states.
I'm Meghna Chakrabarty. Today on Point.
1, 2.
School lunches, farm subsidies. How the one big beautiful bill could change food security for American families. Stay with us. Live from NPR News
3,
in Washington, I'm Corbett Coleman.
4,
Israeli officials believe
5.
the U.S. will join its military attack on Iran. President Trump does appear to be...
Oh, I must have...
Writing online yesterday, Trump said Iran's supreme leader is a, quote, easy target. The U.S. has not, as yet,
I thought I did that one. 5.
The U.S. Embassy in Israel has
Oh.
since Tuesday. The State Department says it will stay closed for the next several days for security.
So that's annoying. I gotta figure it out later off stream, right?
NPR's Lauren Freyer reports from London.
The UK Foreign Office says it's temporarily withdrawing
1, 2,
members of staff at the British Embassy
3,
in Tel Aviv and at the British Consulate in Jerusalem.
4,
Calls this a
5.
precautionary measure amid a quote fast-moving situation.
2. There's 2 I gotta figure out that I thought I did and marked up. I'll do it later off camera, then I'll figure out where they are, then do it on camera, right? So right now I'm gonna do some boring stuff.
It was imposed last week following
I'm gonna double up my weapons again here.
after federal immigration raids.
My rocket launcher and my grenades.
Bass, who imposed the curfew, said tensions here in the downtown area have been reduced. In a written
Gotta get to my
curfew and other crime prevention efforts have been successful in protecting stores, restaurants,
get to my rampage spot.
areas. When the curfew first went into effect, LA was enduring nightly confrontations, with police at times using non-lethal explosives, tear gas, and declaring unlawful assemblies.
Whoops, wrong. Well, not really wrong, I guess. Kinda right.
Troops in place protecting a number of downtown federal buildings. For NPR News, I'm Steve Futterman in Los Angeles.
Stocks opened higher this morning as the Commerce Department reported a drop in home building activity. NPR Scott Horsley reports
Where
the
is
Dow
it?
Jones Industrial Average soared about 100 points in early trading.
No, you don't.
Broke ground on fewer housing units in May.
In fact, cop, what are you gonna? You're gonna get a
Single-family homes
go away.
up last month. Permits for future home construction of all types was down.
Where's that star?
A survey by the National Association of Home Builders shows builder
Bribe or
confidence is
whatever
also
it's
down
there.
in the face of tariffs, uncertainty, and elevated mortgage interest rates. Short-term interest rates are expected to hold steady this afternoon.
I should have a motorcycle so I can
The Fed is waiting to see how the president's
do
trade
stoppies and make money, but I don't care, right?
Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
On Wall Street
I'm just
at this
gonna
hour,
take
Dow
it
Jones
easy.
Industrials are now
First, I'm gonna
up 20
save.
points. This is NPR.
This is Maine Public Radio News. Good morning. I'm Erwin Kratz at 4 minutes after 10 o'clock.
Whoop.
Current legislative session could end as early as today. Yesterday, lawmakers gave initial approval to a bill that would limit Maine law enforcement's cooperation with President Trump's immigration crackdown. National groups
This
aligned with
part's gonna be
Democrats
boring. Boring.
ID to vote in Maine, along with a host of other election changes. Steve Missler has more.
3 organizations responsible for electing Democratic governors, U.S. senators, and House members have all created ballot question committees to oppose the referendum, according to campaign finance reports with the Maine Ethics Commission. While the initial reports don't yet include contributions or spending, the filings are yet another signal that the campaign will be expensive and involve interest groups with the ability to spend millions to influence voters.
Hey, what? I'm glad I just saved, right? I was trying to help you, idiot. Look at the thanks you get.
At least one Republican group has indicated that it too will spend big on the
Screw that.
The Republican State Leadership Committee has
Screw
already donated
that.
to the campaign behind it. For Maine Public
Boy,
Radio,
howdy, right?
Maine is expected to receive $26 million under a settlement with Purdue Pharma, the maker of OxyContin. All 50 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories signed the $7.4 billion settlement Monday. If it gets court approval, Maine would receive its share over the next decade, according to a spokesperson with the State Attorney General's office. I'm Erwin Gratz, Maine Public News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include AG1.
Try again.
AG1 Next Gen. A daily drink with vitamins, minerals, and probiotics to support overall health. Learn more at drinkag1.com/science.
It'll get increasingly humid around the state today. High temperatures into the 70s, and there will be some scattered showers about.
What am I doing?
Mostly cloudy, some areas of fog after midnight, and some shower activity as well. Overnight lows in the low 60s. Tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies in the south, cloudier to the north, and then as the cold front approaches, a chance of
All right, time to double my rocket launcher up
the thunderstorms could produce
until it's maxed out.
This is I'm
Meghna Chakrabarty, and we are in day 3 of our week-long look at the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the Congressional Budget Reconciliation Bill that could make huge changes to the lives of tens of millions of Americans. Now, before we actually get to today's topic, which is about food insecurity, I want to take a moment to answer a question that several of you have actually sent to us already this week. And that question is, why are we calling it the One Big Beautiful Bill Act? And the simple answer is, because that is what it's called. That's the official title of the legislation. It's House Resolution 1 of the 119th Congress.
$30.
Now, we follow the journalism standard of calling legislation by its official title on first reference, and then on subsequent references by a common non-partisan name. And in this case, the common reference I will use is Budget Reconciliation Bill. Now, I hope that answers the question many of you sent in, and I'm very grateful that you did, by the way. So please keep sending us your questions and comments about anything, really, but especially about the Budget Reconciliation Bill. And the best way to do that is via the OnPoint Vox Pop app. That's OnPoint Vox Pop, and you can get it wherever you get your apps. Okay, now on to today's topic in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, food and nutrition assistance. In the United States, about 1 in 7 households face food insecurity, and that's according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. USDA defines the term as having limited or no access to nutritionally adequate and safe meals. And many of those American families rely
12
on the Federal
seconds.
Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. That's what Oklahoma resident David Horst did when he left work to go to school, got married, and had a kid.
And with the income that we were making
Yay.
at the time, it
Oh.
was an amazing help.
I made them angry.
Helped us as we helped ourselves get up.
Families apply for SNAP assistance through their home state. And in general, you qualify if your income is under 130% of the federal poverty line, which for David's family is about $33,500.
All right, I got 2073 for money. I'm going to see how much I make doing stoppies in this 2 minutes.
And by the way, the required income level is adjusted up or down based on the number of people in a household. Now, David's family also received help from the Women, Infants, and Children Program, or WIC. That's another program through SNAP specifically for helping pregnant women and new mothers, plus children under 5.
Because of that supplement,
2073 was it?
Weight off the shoulders
Or 2070, something like that.
Like if you had an unexpected bill, this would turn, what would be probably an inconvenience for the typical person into like a disaster if you didn't have that little.
Nice one, I think, right? $42.
Works as a civilian employee for the U.S. Air Force and is no longer receiving SNAP benefits. He says he's grateful for the programs, and he's concerned about some of the potential changes to SNAP that are proposed in the Budget Reconciliation Bill. The House version of the bill proposes a nearly $300 billion cut to SNAP, or about 30%.
$32 off a 2-second one, all right.
Expanded work requirements for many older Americans. Now, currently, SNAP assistance already requires most people between the ages of 18 and 54 to prove that they are working or attending job training for at least 80 hours per month. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act would raise that age from 54 to 64. Pennsylvania Representative Republican G.T. Thompson said back in April that he believes the changes restored
all right, $22.
I'm an advocate of the SNAP program and the helpful hand it provides for our neighbors in need. But I hope we can all agree on our responsibility as members of this committee that we take every action possible to enable more people to move into long-term employment while meeting their nutritional needs.
2371.
The safety net has become a spider's web.
2070, so I made around $300. Whoop-de-doo, huh?
They are all destined to live lives of government dependence.
95, 6, 96.
To pay for at least 5% of SNAP's local operating budget. Right now, states pay 0%. Certain states would be on the hook for a quarter of those costs, depending on how efficiently they are currently managing SNAP. We'll take a look at that in a bit. Now, there is some discomfort about those work requirements in the Senate. The Senate Agricultural Committee unveiled its proposal last week, and that one would dial back those work requirements. Also, some other senators fear the bill could bankrupt their states, and they're proposing leaner cuts that will be debated in the coming weeks in the Senate. In Oklahoma, listener David Horst says no matter what, any cuts to SNAP would hurt his neighbors.
I am a conservative. I am a Christian. I say, while I'm registered Republican, I would call myself a disenfranchised Republican. If I was to have
$42, nice.
with somebody about this, I would probably ask them, we have in the Bible, in Luke, it says, to whom much is given, much will be required. When you are in a country that's plentiful, why is it so difficult to be able to give to those who are not as well off as you? What is painful about that to you?
Once again, that's David Horst. He listens to On Point in Oklahoma.
Not a wheelie. I don't know how to do it. I can't remember.
Into the changes that could come to federal food assistance in the budget reconciliation bill. And joining me now is Joel Berg. He's the CEO of the advocacy group Hunger Free America, and he served for 8 years at USDA in the Clinton administration and is author of multiple books on hunger, including All You Can Eat, How Hungry is America. Joel Berg, welcome to On Point.
Thank you so much, Magna. I should also point out we are a direct service organization as well as an advocacy organization.
Well noted. Thank you so much for that. Kevin Corinth also joins us today. He's a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and deputy director of AEI's Center on Opportunity and Social Mobility. Kevin Corinth, welcome to you.
192. It's going to be a slow process, but I'm going to get there eventually, right?
42 million Americans, right? I mean, that's more than 10% of this country. And the program has actually undergone some pretty significant growth in recent years. So, Joel, talk about that first. Why is SNAP becoming a larger part of
I messed it up.
lives?
SNAP is a larger part of more Americans' lives because more Americans need it, because the American economy is failing in fundamental ways. According to our analysis of USDA data, 1 in 10 employed Americans live in food insecure households. So today, 47 million Americans, that's more than the combined populations of Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, and Virginia.
Almost ate it there.
USDA that can't afford enough food. So if 47 million Americans are struggling against hunger, we shouldn't be shocked that 42 million Americans need SNAP assistance primarily because their incomes are too low, because their wages are too low, and their expenses are too high.
Kevin, go ahead.
Sure, and I would start by just echoing everything that's been said, that SNAP is just a foundational program that really helps low-income families, and especially kids.
Doing bad this time-ish. Bad-ish this time, rather.
The economy has gone through some difficult times, especially with the pandemic, and then a lot of the government-mandated shutdowns, and we're still recovering from that. I mean, I would note that it's not a hard and fast rule that SNAP caseloads always go up. When the economy does get better, as we saw from about 2014 to 2019, we saw something like a 25% decrease in SNAP caseloads, and that's because the economy was working really well. We saw wage growth, especially at the bottom of the distribution, and when the economy works, when wages are going up, you do see SNAP caseloads fall. So I think that's sort of the goal moving forward.
Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, but were there not increases in SNAP benefits, pandemic-related increases?
There were 2 major sets of pandemic-related increases. One was based on statutory authority in the previous Farm Bill to authorize a SNAP to allow the Department of Agriculture to increase what's called the Thrifty Food Plan to account for higher costs of food and higher costs of living. And that has resulted in an increase in benefits for virtually everyone on the caseload. Unfortunately, both the House and the Senate Republican bill would prevent future secretaries of agriculture from meeting those increased costs. There was a second increase in SNAP emergency allotments that was
$25. So isn't this mind-numbing? Oh boy, I need to do it though. I want those weapons to be maxed right out
So anyone out there saying, "Oh, people are living high
before
off
I
the hog
start
and eating lobster meals with these benefits," it's just not true.
Well, so
whatever.
$2 per meal. I'm seeing a report
The
here
missions
from
and the
USDA.
vigilante missions and la la.
We're putting it is $211.93 per participant per month. Does that make sense, Joel?
Yeah, that sounds right. It varies by month, but that's about correct.
Okay.
For today.
Now, Kevin, here's another question, sort of getting a sense as to the size of the program. USDA reports that of all its food and nutrition assistance spending,
Whoop.
SNAP accounts for 67.8% of that spending, right? And in comparison, WIC is actually quite small, it's like 4%.
Oh.
So this is the marquee, the most relied upon program for Americans facing food insecurity. You can understand why many of them may be feeling a lot of anxiety and concern by hearing that there could be cuts to this program.
What?
Sure. And I would note, I mean, you're exactly right. The SNAP is sort of the premier program run by USDA, but let's not forget about school meals as well, which have not come up, which are very important for kids, both for breakfast and lunch. In addition to some summer meals program to fill the gap when school's not in session. And I would just want to go back to one thing that Joel mentioned on the 2021 increase in the Thrifty Food Plan. I think a lot of people have different value judgments about sort of
All right, we're in the thousands. We're getting there. I am anyway. Whatever.
It's good. I think the
It's
problem
getting
that
there.
I and many others had with that is that it's not the role of a presidential administration to make unilateral increases to SNAP benefits. That should be a role for Congress, and whether President Biden or President Trump is in power, I think it's important that that role of that value judgment is reserved for the Congress.
Oh boy.
Go on record on that as well.
Well, Kevin Corinth and Joel Berg, hang on for just a second. When we come back, we will talk about specifically what the proposed cuts or reductions actually are. This is On Point.
Maine Public is proud to be your trusted source for programs that inspire and entertain. You trust this service to deliver the stories you need when and where you need them. We trust that when the time comes, you'll lend your support to these efforts. More than 75% of funding for Maine Public comes from community donations. To see the
Whoops, I
impact of your
messed up.
support or to make an additional gift, please visit mainepublic.org/impact. And thank you
They
for doing
liked
your
it
part
enough.
to sustain this vital community resource.
13 lucky
On Maine
dollars.
Public Radio is made possible by our contributing listeners. With help from Bowdoin
Knocked a
International
telephone pole or something down. Light pole.
in Brunswick through August 8th.
Oh, come on. My bike is stuck.
And Parks Terrace at the Park Danforth, dedicated to providing assisted living that's welcoming, supportive, and dignified. Learn more at parkdanforth.com.
There we
You're
are.
listening to On Point on Maine Public Radio. Support for On Point comes from BetterHelp, committed to supporting mental health through therapy and helping clients find balance. Clients are matched with one of 30,000 therapists.
Whoops,
for
I keep
online
doing
therapy
it
from anywhere
wrong.
at betterhelp.com/public. And Seed. Seed's DSO1 is a 24-strain 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic engineered to survive digestion.
Oh, it'll be 3.
And promote whole body health. Learn more at
So like 6 more minutes and it'll be maxed out. And infinite for that matter, right?
And we're in
I
our
believe.
third day of our week-long look at 5 major sections of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act of budget reconciliation, currently working its way through Congress, and how it's going to have an impact on basically every American. And today we're looking at federal food assistance. Shauna Trader is from Barrie, Vermont, and he has concerns about potential food assistance cuts.
She called her. I did it to her. Never mind. Let's just stop there.
I already go to food banks. I already take advantage of as many free meals and free food as I can. And without SNAP, it would mean less food in the home, and especially less nutrient food.
Nutrient food? You mean nutritious food?
And here's listener
Nutrient
Amadeo
food.
Rabine Verhoeven
Food with
from
nutrients.
Salem, Oregon.
SNAP cuts or any changes to eligibility in the program would affect me, leading me to eat less than I already do, and probably worse than I currently do. Food boxes take a while to hit in this area, just because everyone's struggling. And SNAP means a little bit of independence.
Whoop.
It means that I go to work.
Look at that. That was some hijinks or something.
Feel like political theater.
Now, the House passed Republican reconciliation plan proposes $300 billion
Whoa.
cuts to SNAP through the year 2034. That's according to the Congressional Budget Office. It would be the largest cut to SNAP in the history of the federal program. So,
How long is that?
doing that, and Joel and Kevin, I'm going to turn to you for your views on this, is reducing the federal contribution to states' SNAP program. So that's that administrative cost that we talked about earlier, and that states would have to actually just pay more, or actually something.
4 more minutes.
Joel, what's your concern about that?
My concern is states are either going to have to raise taxes or cut food to people who desperately need it. And in most cases, the latter will happen. It's really vital to note that red states that supported President Trump and tend to support Republicans for statewide office tend to have higher percentages of their state population who rely on these programs, particularly SNAP. The federal minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, hasn't increased in 26 years, and red states tend to have lower minimum wages and lower wages overall. So my concern is there are already 47 million Americans who are food insecure. And keep in mind, America has the highest level of hunger and food insecurity per capita out of any industrialized Western nation, because we have lower wages and a less robust safety net. And if this occurs, we will have mass hunger in America, primarily to pay for tax cuts for the mega rich.
Now, Kevin, I mean, as Joel's saying, the concern is that increased state responsibility for SNAP administration would force those states to, take away from potentially other programs or assist fewer people with food help. Your response to that?
Look, I think this is an important major change to SNAP if it were to go through. Historically, the federal government has funded all of the benefits paid.
Spin me around the other way.
States a large share of the cost burden, but a 4 or 5% that could go up as erroneous payments increase. So I think it's valid. There's some concerns that's about states, but there are some benefits of this as well. One issue that we've had with SNAP is that states don't really have skin in the game in terms of making sure that benefits are going to the right people.
Ooh. All right, one more 2-minute thingamabob here, then my maximum
when they're supposed to be.
rocket launcher will be achieved.
Incentive to preserve program integrity, and the revenue that's going towards SNAP has to come from somewhere. Whether that's at the federal level or the state level.
I didn't have the weapon selected. Oops. Make that 4 minutes, all right?
States to pay a small share for it.
Kevin, what data do you have that shows that, or what is your analysis of how much misdirected funds there are, the waste, fraud, and abuse that lawmakers talk about in SNAP?
Sure, and a lot of the mispayments aren't always necessary fraudulent
practices.
Ooh. They can just be sort of accidents.
$41.
So to me, it's more around enforcing some of the worker requirements in particular, where states are waiving work requirements.
Pardon me, guys. Didn't mean to fling my bike at you.
California is sort of the king of this game. They'll sort of gerrymander areas together, and there's been counties with unemployment rates below 3%. That have not been enforcing the work requirement because that county has been gerrymandered with other ones. And so I think it's giving states more incentive, not only on the mispayment issue, but more importantly to me, on enforcing work requirements when they should be in place.
Joel, I'm going to let you respond to that in just a second, but I want to highlight how much the allegations of waste, fraud, and abuse are driving the desire for these major cuts in SNAP from the Trump administration and Republican lawmakers. Here's Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins at a House committee hearing just a few days ago about why she sees a need to reform SNAP. And she says too many people have enrolled in it, in her opinion, despite low unemployment.
The last time we had this unemployment number in America, which is low, the last time we had 17 million people on SNAP. Today, with the same unemployment number, we have 42 million people on SNAP. So the exponential growth of this program, especially over the last 4 years,
it's a lot. Quite the growth.
In the last 4 years, is going to bring with it the fraud and the waste and the abuse that we have got to counter.
All right, one more of these stinking things.
Well, full disclosure, I have many concerns about the Secretary of Agriculture, and my organization's actually suing her with the help of Public Citizen because on 8 hours' notice they
drive to a save point.
Hunger hotline,
if I can remember where one is without the little arrows. Oh, it's right up around.
She once said,
or with the markers or whatnot. The icons.
Not even close to true based on her own numbers. USDA's numbers show about 2%. 2% of the program is wasted with so-called trafficking, actual fraud.
Right here. Bring my bike back.
Low-income people are getting
just chill out, right? While I hold a chainsaw.
And I do want to jump into the issue of work requirements. Why are we so obsessed with low-income people getting $2.08 a meal?
Where's my other motorbike? Did it disappear? Hey, it's my own car. Well, it's a police car I stole, but whatever.
Caring man, but I read a lengthy paper he wrote analyzing in depth how much time supposedly Medicaid recipients spend playing video games. And I just don't see that attention on the programs going to wealthy people, even the farm subsidies. And Phil Brasher, who's going to be on later, an excellent reporter, knows these programs cold, can tell you there was a GAO report that these farm subsidies, some of which go to the same entities decades in a row, millions of dollars a year, 25%. 25% of the people
20 seconds.
do no physical labor on their farming operations. So I just wish we could have a broader conversation about rewarding work for everyone, raising the minimum wage, strengthening the earned income tax credit. Programs that really help people move towards living wage work aren't just giveaways for politically connected contractors. Let's really
all right, infinite rocket launcher, yay. I'll do my grenades some other time, right?
I add a little question here to what Joel said.
What time is it?
The raising of the
10:30.
Work by a decade up to 1964. There comes a point.
All right, time to save.
Why? I mean, what benefit do people get who'd actually be in the last years of their working lives, maybe, to have to work in order to get assistance to put, the bare minimum.
All right, I'm going to take a break. A cigarette break, right? Drag the camera outside and such. See what the weather is like. Hold on.
For a family of 2 kids. The refundable portion of the child tax credit, which provides about $3,400 per year for families with kids. We have housing assistance. We have, of course, the Medicaid program, which you mentioned, cash welfare, and the list goes on. So we do have a lot of other programs that have done actually a very good job of rewarding work. And I think do a better job than the minimum wage, because I worry that can have employment loss, especially when you impose a federal minimum across the whole country. In terms of moving up to the age to 64, from the original point of 54, which we have
save
today,
successful.
it reflects society's expectation.
Okay. So after this break, it's going to be a attempt at the vigilante mission again.
Beyond that, work requirements are popular. And at the end of the day, this is a sort of a value judgment about what you think is the societal expectation for people who receive government funds. And when you poll Americans, they typically favor work requirements for things.
Hold on a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I
Pardon me.
saying. I just don't understand why we don't pass that same value judgment for things like corporate welfare. I mean, to the point that Joel was making, it seems as if the shaking of the finger comes if. Kevin.
Sure, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by corporate welfare. Certainly, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act did reduce corporate taxation, and there's other important provisions, including in the
So let me clarify. No, you're right about me not having been clear. Okay, so in 2017, when let's say the corporate tax rate was dropped, the idea is well, that money would be used to be put back into the U.S. economy, right, to help grow the country as a whole. That didn't happen. The companies did a huge bunch of stock buybacks. We know that. But so maybe the same idea exists for people relying on SNAP benefits, that you get a benefit from the federal government with the sort of moral exchange that you have to do your part in working, in your community. I get that. But see, that didn't happen with America's biggest companies, and no one really got that upset about it. At least no lawmakers did. And so why do we expect Americans who can't put food on the table, or even if they were working, would still need SNAP benefits to adhere to some kind of.
All right, almost. Where am I?
I think we've maybe been reading different research. From what I saw after the
Take me water with me.
We saw an enormous decline in food insecurity and poverty. We were seeing record increases in wages at the bottom, and that's exactly what the research is predicting. When you reduce corporate taxes, a lot of it's passed on to workers, and as a result, we did see improvements in the exact outcomes that we're worried about for low-income Americans.
Is that accurate?
In 2019. We're growing, and food insecurity was falling as well. So I think those are the goals we care about, and if we care about those goals, it's important to have a tax code that rewards investment, which means more jobs and higher wages.
Okay, I'll go back to you, Joel, here for a second. But Kevin, thank you for asking me what data I was looking at. I'm referencing at least one report, this one particular from Goldman Sachs, which found that there was a 55% jump in stock buybacks in 2018 over 2017. Companies in the S&P 500 spent $806 billion.
What am I doing already? Do I have everything I want and need?
I didn't mean to box you out here. Go ahead.
Not quite.
Let's talk about the mortgage interest deduction. I get one for my co-op in
All right.
You can get it for your vacation.
Is it cold out? Oh, that's the question. Probably. Being a little cold will motivate. All right, and play the game. Did I get any messages yet? Hi there, Michael. Hold on. First, how long ago did you send that? Sorry I missed your message earlier, but hi there. Michael Mikhail Kasoft, is that what it is? All right. So, what time we got? 10:30. I will do I'll do one good attempt, one serious attempt at this vigilante mission. Then I gotta end the stream and relax a little before I go bye-bye off to Walmart for a little while and come back. And I'll probably play again later tonight or in the afternoon, who knows. Oh, I didn't bring my water with me. I forgot it. 3 viewers watching the ground, and oh, 2 of them went bye-bye. Brr. Cut this down fast. Holy crap. Should have put my jacket on. Ooh. Let's cut that one short. I gotta. Ooh la la. Ooh hoo and ha ha. Whoop. All right, I'll be back in a moment. I have to go use the facilities, enjoy the talk radio or whatnot. Whoops. This looks totally off.
Antiques Roadshow comes to
Oh god, hold on, I'll be right back.
I'm Keith Shortle. Today, the popular PBS program Antiques Roadshow is taping here in Maine. Join me as we listen back to our earlier conversation with the program's executive producer, a seasoned appraiser, about what it takes to capture the stories behind treasures from all over the U.S. Maine Calling, Wednesday at 11 and again at 8 on Maine Public Radio.
There's a lot going on here in Maine. Concerts and classes, lectures and literature, fairs and festivals. How can you connect to it all? Maine Public's community calendar. It's easy to find things to do. Search by type of event, date, or location. And if you represent an organization and want to let Mainers know about your event, simply enter the details using our online form. Maine Public's community calendar, bringing the people of Maine together. Visit mainepublic.org and click on Community. On Point on Maine Public Radio is made possible by our contributing listeners, with help from High Pines Village in Wells, offering 3-bedroom single-family homes designed with working-class Mainers and Maine's workforce in mind. highpinesvillage.com. And BCM Environmental and Land Law of Northern New England, helping landowners, farmers, and governments problem solve. bcmenvirolaw.com.
Support for On Point comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Learn more at Viking.com. And MathWorks, creator of MATLAB and Simulink software for technical computing and model-based design. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science. Learn more at MathWorks.com.
You're back with On Point. I'm Meghna Chakrabarty, and it's day 3 of our week-long look at the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That's that budget reconciliation bill, which will have an impact on all Americans in this country. Today, we're talking about food insecurity. We're going to talk about farm subsidies that are in the bill in just a second.
Not charging. I'm back.
Later, we will talk about changes that just came out from the Senate about Medicaid. So first and foremost, let's listen to the food security side of things. Let's listen to
No, it's not charging. Come on.
Stacey Dykstra is CEO of the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, which together, along with another major food bank network, serves the entire state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, hopefully it's working and not going to go blip, blip.
It's very likely that Oklahoma could afford to take on the SNAP operating.
Oh, hold on a second.
Right now, we're estimating that
Be right back.
require $224 million spending in 2028, and that's the equivalent of 84 million meals, and that is more meals than both food banks together distributed last year. So if you think about, right, so I mean, obviously, I think, you know, you'd say, okay, so food banks can't make up this thing. The state doesn't have that kind of money. It is so scary. That's what keeps me up at night.
All right, let's turn our attention to another aspect of America's food system, and that is farmers. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins highlighted the ways she says USDA will actually increase its help for farmers. She did so on June 11th in a House committee hearing. She talked about highlighting. She talked about boosting subsidies for commodities, corn.
All right.
By raising something
I'm
called
back for real. Let's
USDA uses to pay farmers.
attempt some the vigilante mission here.
This case to anyone that will listen.
I don't know. Hopefully I can
Bill is important for a lot of reasons.
accomplish it.
Being permanent, creating more jobs, keeping the death tax out of our family.
Where's the police station?
But I'm not sure from my perspective and this job that there's anything more important than updating those reference prices. So I'm very proud of that.
There's a couple.
Philip Brasher joins us now. He's editor-in-chief of AgriPulse. It's an industry publication that covers food and agriculture policy. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hi, Magna.
Okay, so it's great to have. What are the changes that the budget reconciliation
right
bill
there, all right.
lives of American farmers?
Okay, well,
Slam.
it's important to be clear, and you said this in your introduction, that this primarily
Wahoo!
with farmers who grow corn and soybeans, wheat, rice, cotton, as large-scale row crops, and also to some extent dairy producers. And it would increase basically strengthen the safety net, the income safety net that they have in various ways.
How would it do that? Give me one of the most important ways.
Well, one of the most important ways is what Secretary Rollins was
what are
called reference prices. They're basically tentative floor prices.
Right up ahead.
There are a couple of programs. The way that one of them works is that when market prices
I wanted to.
a certain level, fall below the reference price, that triggers payments to farmers who have traditionally grown that type of crop. The complaint that many farmers have is that these reference prices are too low. They don't reflect the fact that production costs have increased significantly over the past decade since they were initially set.
So
where you go?
That reference price, meaning that delta that farmers would get paid by the federal government, grows essentially.
Yes, it increases the likelihood that they
would receive a
payment in any particular year.
Okay, and do you know when the
Where
last
are
time
you?
that reference price was increased?
Well, it's complicated. They were basically set in the 2014.
Oh, that cop went
And
flying.
those base prices have not been increased since then.
Let's try and get a.
I say it's complicated
Get
because
this
there is
guy.
a formula by which the effective reference price in a particular year can be higher depending on what has happened to commodity prices over a 5-year period. It's complicated. So the actual price in any given year, but the base prices were set, reference prices were set in 2014.
Agriculture is this huge industry. Who is this really going to help the most? Because when I say farmers, it might conjure up the image of, a small American farmer. But it sounds like, especially since these are for commodities, that agribusiness would be the big winner here.
Well, it depends on the part of the country that you're talking about. In the Midwest, it could easily be a farm with 1,000 to 2,000 acres.
Woohoo.
A father and maybe a son, maybe several children who are farming it.
In the South, you tend to have even larger farms. Just the culture and how things have developed over the years. But you could have smaller operations as well. But they have tended the mid-sized farms have been tended to be hollowed out over the last
stupid cop.
decades. So you tend to have
Messed everything up.
larger farms.
At least I put a few bullets in the criminal's car.
A very large farm can only get a certain amount of money in a particular year. So there is some limitation on very large operations.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, though, because I'm seeing some analyses here that says the bill would increase subsidies to 14 companies that do business administering farm insurance.
Where is it? Down and around, I guess. I can go this way, maybe. Or is this a better way?
Companies that come in and get payments that basically channel through.
I guess, whatever. We'll figure it out here.
Investing in land. That's a new, more recent phenomenon we've seen over the last decade or so.
Okay. And then also you mentioned that there were payment caps. It seems like there's at least some proposed increase in those payment caps that would be raised from $125,000 to $155,000 per person.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that'll be indexed to inflation, so that can increase as well. Yeah, that's another one of the changes that this bill.
Okay, and then
both bills actually, both the House and the Senate bills.
Okay, got it. And then I had mentioned, soy and corn. Those are sort of the most easily identified.
Oh, nice hop there.
The bill would also expand subsidies to dairy, poultry, forestry, biofuel, rural schools, and other activities.
Go away, it'll tone it down.
Primarily in terms of the farm programs that are receiving the extra money, $60 billion in case of the House bill, $67 billion in case of the Senate bill. The bulk of that money goes into these commodity programs, crop insurance. There also is additional money for foreign trade promotion initiatives. That's part of it, and that's a broad swath of agriculture, including fruits and vegetables and other crops.
Oh, really? You're stealing a car, getting back in it or something?
A subsidy program that
for
them called the Dairy Margin Coverage Program.
Come at me, cops.
Livestock producers and other livestock producers, and I would say cattle, hog, poultry producers, they are, for the most part, not covered by the major commodity programs.
Nice, a fresh vehicle.
There are other programs within USDA and there is some support.
Already back up 3 stars.
But largely we're talking about these row crops.
Got it.
Whoa, what was that?
Comes to, as you were saying, something like a $50 to $60 billion increase in farm subsidies over the next 10 years. So, Philip Brad, an instant publication that covers.
Try again, right? I'm gonna load it up.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Load the game.
All right,
what time is
for
it?
the last few minutes of the show, we want to
10:49.
Healthcare and how the budget reconciliation process could change American health.
All right, load.
That's where we started this week on Monday, talking about House proposed changes to Medicare, to the Affordable Care Act, and to Medicaid. Well, just recently, basically, as we've been doing this series, the Senate has released a proposal for changes to Medicaid. So we're going to bring back Larry Levitt. He's the executive vice president at KFF, the Kaiser Family Foundation, a nonpartisan nonprofit organization that focuses on health policy. Larry was with us on Monday when we talked about the House version of the bill that called for an $880 billion cut in Medicaid. And Larry, welcome back. What has the Senate proposed all of a sudden?
Yeah, so thanks.
Whoops, already.
Interestingly, the expectation was that the Senate would moderate the Medicaid cuts that were in the House.
My armored.
Senators have raised issues about those cuts, but the language that was just released actually makes the cuts even bigger. So
this did shock a lot of people, right?
This will set up quite a in the Senate.
Okay, so what is in this language? How is the
Yeah,
Senate
so
proposing those
there are a
deeper
number
cuts?
of
Nope.
number of specific
Where is the
cases where
exit?
the cuts are bigger. This, of course, gets wonky, as you know. One big one is what are known as provider taxes. So these are taxes on hospitals, mainly, and nursing homes in some cases, that help states pay for their part of Medicaid. The House bill put a moratorium on these taxes, so essentially said there can't be
Police,
any new
where are you?
taxes on hospitals and nursing homes. The Senate went further and said that they're actually going to ratchet down
Too far.
the existing taxes on hospitals. They exempted nursing homes. And interestingly, this only applies in states that have expanded Medicaid.
So I went the
under
wrong
Affordable Care
way.
Act. That's 40 states plus DC. So it doesn't touch deep red states in the South that have chosen not to expand Medicaid. So Texas and Mississippi.
Okay, so to be clear, because again, wonkery can be confusing, but you know, knowledge is power here, Larry. Cutting those or allowing those provider taxes to be cut, right? What that means is because those are taxes that states use to pay for their for help pay for Medicaid. And stop me if I'm doing anything wrong here. What that means is that less money would be coming to the states to pay for those things, and therefore they would have budget holes that they need to fill and would have to find somewhere else.
Where is it exactly? Oh, we're getting into this other territory now.
To states that have chosen to use
these
taxes to help fund their Medicaid programs and have chosen to expand. So this would open up
I think we'll start over.
In all of these states and force them to cut other parts of Medicaid, cut other state programs like education or public safety.
I don't like how this one's starting.
That's always hard to do.
Have you been able to discern? I know this has kind of just happened, but why the Senate is choosing to make this particular deeper cut?
Well,
although I got plenty of time, I don't like it.
The handful of moderate Republicans who have been concerned about Medicaid cuts, but the reality is there are also Republicans on the other side who are pushing for
north
in programs like Medicaid.
Whoops.
And this is to help pay for bigger tax cuts, but it's also part of decades-long effort by conservative Republicans to cut entitlement programs.
Messed up again.
Right, to that point, I understand.
Maybe this other time I'll net this, whatever, you know.
Medicaid is financed. There was a particular one that seems to have been quite influential in conservative circles. It came from the Paragon Institute, which is a conservative think tank that it's reported that this year they had a report that came out that described this provider tax maneuver as money laundering or creating federal money out of thin air. That's how it's perceived by particularly conservative think tanks.
That's right, and the Paragon Institute, which includes former Trump administration officials from the first term, have described these provider taxes.
Try again.
To be clear.
Oh, it's locked. Come on.
They are, you can agree or disagree about whether this is an appropriate way for states to help pay for Medicaid. But they have been allowed by Congress, by previous administrations, Republicans and Democrats. They're used by red states and blue states. But I think this is an attempt by Paragon to frame these Medicaid cuts as fraud, waste, and abuse. And they've been quite successful in doing that.
And how do hospitals feel? Because many of them are very
far away enough.
Oh, hospitals are not happy at this moment.
Did I go too far?
This is not just.
There it is. Whoop.
These are not
Come on.
Payments to hospitals.
Oh, really? I'll go to the other police car then. Screw this station.
To Medicaid enrollees. Hospitals have been lobbying heavily. They are dependent on this Medicaid money, particularly rural hospitals, which are on the edge. And they were, I think, surprised by this move by the Senate.
Right. This is the thing that surprises me because usually I would think that hospitals would be thrilled to hear that Congress wants to reduce taxes paid.
Yeah, woo! You like that flippity flip?
because these, excuse me, these taxes paid by hospitals
in
help
rotation.
states fund Medicaid, and then they help.
Do I have enough time to do this?
Hospitals to,
Oh, no cop car. Oh, it's around the other way.
paid for caring for
Oh,
Medicaid patients.
Understood. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, are there also proposed change? I'm just catching up with this right now, Larry. So help me out here.
an hour. I don't
Requirements
know.
that have come out of the Senate?
I don't know if I have
That's right.
time.
So, Republicans are universally behind work requirements. The proposal in the House that the House passed for work requirements was quite stringent. The Senate made it even more stringent.
Do I have time?
Particularly for
Oh,
parents.
really?
In the House bill, all parents of dependent children were exempt from the work requirement.
Let's
In the
go
Senate,
for
only
it.
parents
I'll
of kids up to
probably
age 14
fail
would
anyway.
be exempt. So it's similar.
Ooh, nice rail slide down the middle
more
there.
work requirements and deeper cuts from the Senate's view on Medicaid. We've got about 30 seconds left, Larry. How might this? We don't know what's going to happen because these have to be resolved with each other. But how might this have an impact on the Americans who rely on Medicaid?
Well, this is, 80 million people are covered by Medicaid, and these cuts, which would shift costs to states and make it harder for people to sign up for Medicaid, would result. I mean, the Congressional Budget Office estimated 10.9 million more people would be uninsured as a result of the House bill. That's probably going to be even higher as a result of the Senate proposal.
Well, Larry Levitt, bringing us up to speed on the even deeper cuts proposed to Medicaid by the Senate. Larry is Executive Vice President at KAF.
Northward. Oh,
Thank you so very much for coming back and catching
same
us up on this.
area.
Thanks for having me again.
I'm Meghna Chakrabarty. This is On Point.
Oh.
Support for On Point comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and from the Mayrotra Institute for Business, Markets, and Society, hosting
Oh,
Business
come on.
Broken podcast featuring conversations with academics, industry leaders, and politicians. More at ibms.bu.edu. And BetterHelp, committed to helping clients with issues ranging from
Yeah.
On Point on Maine Public Radio is made possible by our contributing listeners with help from Seaport Credit Union, committed to the financial well-being of Mainers since 1931. Learn more at seaportcu.org.
Where are they?
And Northern Forest Center.
I gotta
helping
sneak
Maine
over
communities
there
create new
somehow.
housing,
There's a
broadband
way.
access, and community recreation.
Thanks.
northernforest.org.
I needed that spin.
You're listening to Maine Public, and this is listener-supported Maine Public Radio. WMEF Fort Kent 106.5, WMEM Presque Isle 106.1, WBSP Millinocket
Oh,
90.1,
wrong. I meant
WMHT Greenville
to
89.7,
head-on collision in, but it didn't happen.
WMEH
For them.
90.9, WMEW Waterville 91.3, WBEO Bethel 91.3, WMEP Camden 90.5,
Ugh.
WMEA Portland 90.1, and online at mainpublic.org. Maine Calling is up next. Maine Calling is made possible by listeners like you and by the Belfast Community Co-op, dedicated to local farmers, makers, and economy. Community owned since 1976. Belfast.coop.
Oh.
And Evergreen Home Performance.
This
Diagnosing
one's
why
being
your house gets
annoying.
hot in the summer with energy audits and helping homeowners to improve comfort with insulation and air sealing.
Today on Main Calling,
Blimp, blimp,
inside
blimp.
the workings of Antiques Roadshow, an encore presentation. What does it take to produce an
Whoop.
extremely popular show that travels the country and brings in thousands of people? You might be surprised. I'm Keith Shortall, and today on the program, we listen back to our earlier
What's this?
conversation with the executive producer of Antiques Roadshow. We'll learn about how the featured antiques and collectibles
Where's
and
the
their owners
exit
are
out of
screened
here?
and selected, how the objects are appraised, and how the whole operation is moved throughout the country to create a new season of episodes.
All right, where are
An
you?
appraiser who appears regularly on the program, specializing in sports and pop culture memorabilia, about how she comes up with the value of a baseball signed by Babe Ruth or a tablecloth signed by Muhammad Ali. Inside Antiques Roadshow, main call is just ahead.
Oh, now I got the cops after me in my cars. Horrible shape.
On the continuing conflict between Israel and Iran.
Well, that
Trump
solves a
won't
little
say
of it.
whether the U.S. is moving closer to a decision to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. He said, quote, "Nobody knows what I'm going to do." Trump says Iran has reached out to try to negotiate, but he told them that it is very late. Trump also said he'd had it and said, quote, "No more. Then we go blow up all the, all the nuclear stuff that's
You
all over
know,
the place there."
like, you know,
The
man.
Supreme Court has upheld a Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care for transgender children. The decision was 6-3. Chief Justice John Roberts says the state law banning the care does not violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. That clause requires the government to treat people who are similarly situated the same. Dissenting justices say the ruling abandons trans children and their families to political whims.
Where are
A
you?
new report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says for the first time,
Oh, come on.
street drug deaths in the U.S. appear to be rising.
Rising.
Deaths from fentanyl. As NPR's Brian Mann reports, the CDC found roughly 1,400 more drug deaths over a 12-month period.
Fatal overdoses are still far below their peak in 2023, but for the first time in 17 months, a new CDC report based on data collected back in January shows a significant rise in drug deaths. In a statement to NPR, the CDC described this as a fluctuation and a slight increase, and said researchers are working to better understand the trend. Some drug policy experts said this could turn out to be a blip in the nation's recovery from fentanyl and other street drugs. But Keith Humphreys, a researcher at Stanford University, said this could be a warning sign that recent dramatic improvements in fatal overdoses.
Level 6, halfway, not quite halfway there. After this, it'll be halfway, all right?
Deep cuts to federal funds for addiction care. Brian Mann, NPR News.
The National Weather Service has issued its first ever heat advisory for Alaska. From member station KUAC, Shelby Herbert has more.
Unlike extreme cold, it's not easy for people in Alaska's interior to manage unusually hot weather. People in Fairbanks are scrambling to keep themselves and their pets
Where are you going?
Staff at the local animal shelter are pro-offering kiddie pools and peanut butter popsicles for the pups. The state is warming 2 to 3
I need a
times
new
faster
car.
than
All right, I got to deal
in
with
the
the
summer,
cops
heat
a
beats
little
down
bit.
on the many buildings in the region that don't have air conditioning. It's a 1-2 punch, according to meteorologist Jason Laney.
It also tends to kind of build in with the same time as wildfire
Oh, come on.
season.
The heat is coupled with smoke pouring in from wildfires in Canada, so many Fairbanksans can't even crack open a window for relief.
Oh, there goes my armor.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 250 points.
Come on, police cars. I'm here.
This is Maine Public Radio News. Good morning. I'm Erwin Gratz at 11:04. National groups aligned with
Oh, look at
Democrats
that.
gearing up to oppose a referendum that would require a photo ID to vote in Maine, along with other election changes. Steve Missler reports.
3 organizations responsible for electing Democratic governors, U.S.
Woo!
senators, and House members have all created ballot question committees to oppose the November referendum.
Whoops.
According to campaign finance reports with the Maine Ethics Commission.
Let me guess, this
While
one's
initial reports
locked.
don't yet include contributions or spending, the filings are yet another signal that the campaign will be expensive and involve interest groups with the ability to spend millions to influence voters. At least one Republican group has indicated that it too will
Oh,
spend big
come
to vote
on.
any referendum. For Maine Public Radio News, I'm Steve Missler.
At the State House,
Straight up there, huh?
Maine House is embarking on what will be the final day of this legislative session. The legislature will spend much of the day discussing the final budget document. Once it adjourns, lawmakers won't return to Augusta until next year, unless they're summoned to return for special sessions. A correction, we reported yesterday on differing figures for the increase approved for Central Maine power customers. It is 3.3% to $4.91 a month for a customer using 550 kilowatt hours of electricity. Warm and humid today with highs in the 70s and a chance of a shower.
There you are.
Tomorrow, warmer still with a chance of some late day thunderstorms. I'm Erwin Gratz, Maine Public Radio News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Walton Family Foundation. working to create access to opportunity for people and communities by tackling tough social and environmental problems. More information is at waltonfamilyfoundation.org.
Oh, come on, you. I'll shoot you then. Never mind.
I'm Keith Shortall.
Where's this guy? Downward.
Is one of the most popular and longest-running programs on PBS television, and it's coming to Maine this summer for a taping to be broadcast next year. Today, we'll hear from the
next year. Wow, how timely.
about what goes into putting together a show that educates viewers about history, art, and culture through collectibles, and captures a range of human moments.
Oh, I meant to get a different car. Whoops, I blew right by everything. Where's that guy? I just wasted a whole lot of time.
Chinese vase is a fake. Joining me is Marcia Bemko, long-serving executive producer of Antiques Roadshow. Also with us is Leila Dunbar, president of Leila Dunbar Appraisals and Consulting. Welcome to you, both Marcia and Leila. It's going to be a really interesting hour. I have to confess at the top.
Oh, what is he doing in there?
So I just want to get that on the table. We often hear about provenance in the realm of collectibles and antiques. Let's talk about the provenance of the show itself. Antiques Roadshow.
Oh, dead. All right, I got to load it back up.
A production of the BBC and dates back to the 70s. It was a little later.
Dead in the corner in the little alleyway there, or whatever.
Found its way across the Atlantic and took hold. Can you give us
all right, what's the time here? 11:08. I really don't think I have time to do it. I gotta stop, I guess.
And
so that's it. I already saved. I don't need to do that again, right?
Let's do an hour. His name was Peter McGee. And lo and behold, that first season,
all right.
We pulled it together.
So anyone who happened to watch this, and the two people that are here,
gymnasiums in high schools,
and Mikhail Kasoff, thanks for watching.
I wasn't with the show yet. I wasn't here for that.
Probably at some point after, I don't know, earlier or later in the afternoon, I'll probably
there weren't enough people there, so
attempt the vigilante mission again. And maybe even the ambulance missions if I
and in season 2,
finish that up.
In the big
all right, bye-bye.
Los Angeles, they had to shut the show down because the freeway was clogged with people trying to get into Roadshow. People were sleeping out overnight,